Hey guys, it's TRIZE here, and we're getting the most power out of this naturally aspirated V10 engine. So we're at the halfway point in the V engine category in this part of the series. All I got left is this one, the V8, and the V6. So let's start off with this engine build. So the first thing you gotta do on the top left portion of your screen is you set the year all the way up to the year by maximizing it to the year of 2020. And after you have selected the V90 degree V10 engine configuration, you may select any of the 4 block materials you may choose from. I'm going to select magnesium for the sake of weight and everything, except for the heat conductivity being so poor. For the bore and stroke right here for the family capacity is you max this out each to 120 millimeters to get the engine size to 13,572 cubic centimeters, or around 13.5 or 13.6 round this up in liters, with a dual overhead cam 5 valve. And again, for the head materials, any of the 3 head materials, which are going to select aluminum silicone for the sake of weight. And a couple things about this quality slider here. Well, first things first with the actual slider in the open beta branch of version 4.2.33 as to be making this video, is you select the quality slider to a +15 for everything. No matter it's for the engine block in general, the top end, the bottom end, the fuel system for the exhaust, you do this for everything. And in that quality slider, as you see right here, which some people point out in the comments, is you check out this sandbox tech pool right here. As you click on that, and you get this screen for the sandbox tech pool that you could modify for the engine and the cars too. So for the engine, of course, maximize everything to a +50 for the bottom end, the top end, and ignoring the turbocharger here, the fuel system, and finally for the exhaust, you put this at a 15 for everything except for the turbocharger. And after you click on apply to apply the tech sand pool adjustment, so for the crank count rods and pistons right here, we're going to be using the strongest materials as possible for this particular engine. So for the crankshaft, billet steel crankshaft with the count rod set to lightweight titanium, the piston set to a regular forge, and for the balancing mass, we must implement a balancing shaft to reduce the chance of the crankshaft and the pistons in particular from exploding due to high RPM stress loads. And the balancing mass slider right here is you set this to a 146, which should increase the counterweight mass by 36.5 pounds. For the compression for this engine, set this bad boy to a 16.0 to 1 ratio at extreme level. Same thing for the cam profile, similar anatomy at 100 at a full-blown racing setting. The springs and lifters, set this just 9 clicks up to a 59, and VVT, you put VVT at all cams with the engine RPM limit right here to a 9,000 RPM. For the fuel system, we're going to be using a direct injection throttle per cylinder racing intake manifold with the manifold size set to a 94. With the fuel type we're going to be using is nitromethane, basically the ones used in top fuel dragsters and everything in general. And the ignition timing map out here is you set this to a -5, which should advance it as much as possible. With the fuel mapping slider right here, set this 3 clicks up to a 53. And finally, for the exhaust and all this good stuff, so for the headers, we'll be choosing the tubular racing headers with the header size set to a 91, with a dual exhaust, with the exhaust diameter set to a 95.2 millimeters, which should set the diameter size to 3.75 inches. And no cuts, no mufflers, and bring up the quality. And we get the final horsepower rating of 5,722.3 horsepower at 8,600 RPM, and the torque at 3,550.1 pounds-feet of torque at 8,500 RPM. So as I adjusted the sandbox tech pool off camera to get the most power as possible, well, apparently most of the sliders don't really work as you'd expect. The only thing that did work is for the engine block in general and the bottom end of the engine. This is pretty much what cured most of the stress with the pistons right here and the con rods to squeeze a little bit more power at the high RPM load. But without this, the engine would have blown up at around like maybe 8,000 RPM without doing the sandbox tech pool adjustments and like what I got right here. So for this part of the video, I'm going to give you here what this engine will sound like with the power and torque graph right here, and it'll give you a look at the engine as so by doing some fake gear shifts for a little while, and we'll off the video right then and there. So let's bring back the graph visibility for the power and torque graph and give you a listen right now. Unlike the V12 and the V16 with the balancing mass being almost maxed out, it doesn't sound like a diesel engine at the idle RPMs, but the high end, damn, this sounds nice. So that'll do it with automation the car company Tycoon gave with this powerful, naturally aspirated V10 engine. Now that I know you can modify the tech pool in the engine designer. You couldn't do that in the older versions of the game, but that's quite interesting in how they implemented this new feature, but it seems like it's spotty in how it works and everything, but like I said, in the future, there could be a good chance that they might implement this, like make this work for every single aspect of the engine to get the most power as possible, most torque as possible, or all that good stuff. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future, including my automation to BeamNG Drive videos too. So this is TRIZE rising up and signing out.